Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video tonight. Well, it's morning there. To talk about a couple of things. And I realized something in speaking to a friend of mine there. And that is that last year, if everyone will remember, I posted this today, around Christmas time when people were distracted with the holidays, is when the government issued the Gazette, notice on land expropriation, and gave people like a couple of days to respond and give their opinion, view, or whatever on the bill, on the Constitution being changed. So this was a very sneaky, underhanded move, which is not surprising, but I wanted everyone to be aware of the fact that they're going to do this again during this Christmas season to push the final change through. And this is how they're going to do it. They're going to put it in the newspaper. They'll probably give people less than 5 days to see it or respond to it. And instead of being distracted by, everything during Christmas and the holidays, people need to be paying attention. They need to be paying attention to this, and they need to respond to it. We need to bring a lot of attention to it, especially to the sneaky, underhanded way that they continue to do this. They are dead set on running South Africa off the edge of a cliff, and it's like a freight train not stopping, and it's unbelievable, really, when you think about the consequences of what this will bring for everyone. It's honestly terrifying. And to think that they think this is a good idea. Just rational thought process does not exist in South Africa. So that's the main thing I wanted to say, was they're going to do this again. Please start speaking about it, start posting about it, make people in other countries who are supporters aware of this, and everyone just needs to share, shine a big spotlight on the way they do business, basically, the way that they handle decisions in the government that ultimately affect the citizens of South Africa in a negative way. They don't care. They don't even give them time to respond. It just makes no sense. But a spotlight needs to be shined on this, and this is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to write an article on it, on what happened last year. So, a couple of other things I wanted to speak about was, my website. So the person who offered to put a website up for me as a contribution to South Africa, he texted me today, and he wants he was going to build me a website from scratch, but he texted me today and said that he was going to work on something different so that I would be able to get on and, do things myself. So the one I have up it was meant to be a temporary site. So we'll see what he comes up with. I want to integrate a social page where people can actually communicate. I also want to integrate a page where I can put videos up on the page, not YouTube videos, but actual, just put the video straight to the page or live stream to the page, or whatever I want to do. There's a lot of cool things that I want to integrate, so we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I want you guys to please share my webpage, get it out there, especially to American conservatives. Share it on Twitter. Share it. It is msasanow.com. So stands for Make South Africa Safe Again. And I update it pretty much every day. The past couple of days have been a little bit hectic. So today was the first day I was able to get on and update some things. I put some new blog posts up by someone who is South African who submitted them, and a story about a little girl, an old story. So go on and check it out on the blog page, and I put up some new news stories, and just share the hell out of it. We need people to see it. This is my reason for putting all of this up, because it can't be taken down. So we need people who can make a difference, to see these images, to see these threats, to see the news articles, to see the blog, to see the Boer testimony videos, and the other videos that are up. So help me out and let's get it out there, please. I've worked really hard on this, and it needs to be seen. So another thing I saw today was that President Trump cut about 19 billion rand from South Africa because they are not following internationally recognized worker rights. So I'm guessing that relates to the BBEE. If you'll remember, Ramaphosa received a letter from Trump and Theresa May concerning BBEE. I'm sure Theresa May did not do this out of the kindness of her heart. She did this probably under a lot of pressure and threats to completely be cut off from money. But that letter was mostly about the BBEE and that they needed to figure something out because this was not working. So I guarantee you that is what this is about. Also, I'm sure a lot of people saw, my post about Germany and the letter to the AFD party. I am having it translated to German before I send it. I'm also going to send a letter to the German Parliament, and I'm going to send a copy of these letters to the Department of State and the President of the United States. I have been thinking about submitting this document to Germany for a while. And what put this on my mind is Siener van Rensburg's words. And I just thought to myself, he's been right about everything else. I mean, it's actually mind-boggling to me. But I don't see Germany just getting up and doing a 180 without pressure and without people reaching out to them. So, in my opinion, we need to start reaching out to people who will hear us in Germany. The Conservative Party. Hopefully Merkel will be out soon, and, then we can really start putting some pressure on. Because if any vision that Nicholas van Rensburg ever had was vital to everything happening today, it is the vision of Germany, the snake with the broken back, lying under a white cloth of God's protection, rising up and striking. This is so important for everything that is to come. And if nothing else was right, this is the one thing we would need to be correct. So, on that issue, for people who don't know, Americans or anyone else, everyone in South Africa knows his words well. But there's a book, I think it's called Prophet of God. I have it in PDF. You should read it, because he did not just have prophecies about South Africa. And it's crazy. You have to read it. But I have some excerpts here from the book and some of his words on Germany and the future and what happens. And it has to do with Europe, America, Germany, Russia. And I kind of wanted to read it to you guys so that if you don't know, that you can have a better understanding of why this is so heavy on my heart. So it's the section that says foreign support for the Boer nation. So as far back as December 3rd, 1918, the seer had a vision of Westerners who would be fighting a furious battle in the far future for the retention of their white heritage. He described a campaign of rabid hatred against them, but also saw that white racism would increase worldwide. I want to remind everyone that he died about 100 years ago. So everything he said was more than 100 years ago. Looking at recent events in Europe, America, and South Africa, where race riots occur regularly, that vision of the Boer prophet is already being fulfilled. A poll held in America during 1993 indicated that approximately 30 million white Americans classified themselves as being right-wing and racist. The majority of them also admitted being against government policy of enforced integration, and that they were secretly fighting it at every opportunity. CNN recently did several interviews with right-wing groups in among other countries, Germany, Holland, and Sweden. They expressed a lot of sympathy for the cause of the Afrikaner. However, what probably struck few viewers was the bitterness among German ranks over the handing over of Namibia and to a black government by the South African government. Their strong opposition to this move indicates that another vision of the seer, that Germany will render military aid to South Africa in the future, suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched after all. The South African government had no right to cede Southwest Africa to a black government, a German viewer said, because with the surrender at the time, July 1915, It was agreed that if South Africa had no further interest in Namibia, Germany would be given the option of gaining control over it again. But they were totally ignored in this matter. The New Germany. The father-in-law of Tante Bessie van Roonen of Henneman was a long-standing friend of the seer, and he often told her of the visions that the Boer prophet saw. He, the seer, predicted the Second World War and its outcome. He said he saw Germany as a large black snake whose back is broken and paralyzed, losing the war. Then Van Rensburg saw a white canvas protecting it. It lay there for a number of years, and when it had healed, the canvas was removed. Siener Van Rensburg saw this as the hand of God covering them. Now the snake lifts its head and strikes toward the east. The wall of shame is demolished and Germany is united again. Then Van Rensburg saw the snake strike at a woman on a throne across water, and she disappears. According to this vision, he said the monarch Queen Elizabeth will lose her throne because of Germany, and it seems likely that there will not be a successor. However, as long as the snake lies there, Van Rensburg sees the Afrikaner nation fighting amongst each other as never before. He also sees a red wooden beam pressing down on the nation, and when the fighting is at its worst, dolerite rocks, bombs fall on Johannesburg. Only then will the nation wake up and begin uniting. And just when that happens, Van Rensburg sees the red beam breaking and the snake striking at South Africa. So the red beam represents Russia. And in his visions, red represented the enemy. The seer's son, Callie, confirmed this sequence of events during a newspaper interview in 1966 and added that his father not only saw what would happen during World War II, but that Germany would ignite the fires of that war and subsequently lose the war. One of the seer's visions also refers to this period. I see a blue stone, Germany. Blue is his color for Germany, rotating. Then it becomes a cannon wheel, which falls and shatters on the ground. The ground is dug up and becomes fertile, he added. After Germany loses the war, it will rise up again, but not as a formidable military force. The fruits of Germany will not be death and destruction, but economical and industrial prosperity. He also said that although the world despised Germany, God had not forgiven it. For he saw a hand covering Germany under a white canvas where it was lying. The same white canvas which he saw covering the rebels at Rotterdam in 1914. The snake was hidden under the canvas for many years. After World War II had ended, there was no movement from the snake, as it took a long time for its back to heal, and the canvas could be removed. God had blessed Germany during those years and made it prosper. Germany and the warships. Van Rensburg first sketched the history about the role played by the Boers and Germans in the capture of German West. He said when Generals de Witt and de Rey heard that Botha and Smuts intended attacking Germany West to capture it for the English, General de Witt called a meeting at Copies. He decided there, if Botha and Smuts passed a law through Parliament that we must capture German West, we would hoist the Vierkleur and fight for a republic. On the day Botha introduced the draft bill to invade Germany West, Coos de la Rey told him not to do it, because if England wins the war, German West will automatically fall into England's lap. However, should England lose, then you're sending us into war against Germany. and we will have to conquer Germany. He put forward another very important reason. We must not shift boundaries and shed innocent blood of a nation who've done us no harm, because during the war in 1899 and 1902, Germany supplied the Boers with cannons and guns, with which we fought the English until we could fight the English with their own guns. An important reason why General de la Rey did not want to fight against Germany was because he believed, according to Hosea 5:10, that remove the bound, therefore I will pour out my wrath upon them like water. Now, after all these years, this important history is recalled. Part of the Boer nation will move to Prieska, or close vicinity, the seer said. During the 1914 rebellion, the train only went as far as Prieska. A rebel who was there said, "It helped us, who had to go to German West to negotiate with the Germans, because during that dry year, General Botha's troops also had to struggle along from there with horse commandos and wagons with food." Diane Seer van Rensburg has predicted that those same agreements will once again become extremely important for the Boer nation. At a time when they find themselves in dire straits, he said, Germany will not only come to our aid and arm us, but also acknowledge these agreements. Merino Rams in blue letters. In March 1955, Mr. Boy Musman wrote a letter to Die Volksblad, relating what the seer had told him about 4 important events which still had to be fulfilled, and when they could be expected to do so. 1, great war troubles which would plunge the country into chaos. 2, a brown-suited man who would unite the nation again. 3, a coup. And 4, total freedom and prosperity for the Afrikaner. Mr. Musman wrote as follows: Sir, during the past few days, many people have asked me about the man dressed in the brown suit, as mentioned by Seer van Rensburg. He did not say this man would necessarily be the president. Brown is our national color. He said the man who would address the burghers from a hillock north of Lichtenberg would be dressed in a brown suit. The seer spoke about our future republic. If the seer's predictions are correct, then we must not expect to get our republic via the ballot box, but by means of a coup. This is absolutely chilling. The above-mentioned declaration of Seer's vision 40 years ago caused great upheaval, and it was ridiculed by everyone. But after the April 1994 election, only an absolute fool would dare hope that whites would ever win another election in South Africa, which would enable them to declare their own republic. Please allow me to state which predictions are concurrent with this. The seer, sees Parliament in session. Our Parliament is in session. It has rained, and the grass is green. Then it becomes white and dry. And when the grass becomes green the second time, the Germans will land in German West. Then 3 blue letters arrive in Parliament. The Merino Rams, ministers and or cabinet members, stand with their heads together, planning and legislating. When the first blue letter arrives, the Merinos become shifty. A second blue letter arrives, and they begin jumping around. With the third blue letter, they scatter and flee from the Cape. I see the MPs rushing home, as they now appear as wild as Muscovy ducks. Because Seer saw blue as the German color, the blue letters indicate this as a sign that sooner or later there could be direct German intervention in the affairs of South Africa. It runs concurrently with the presence of German warships in Luderitz at that stage. The consequences will be war. There is no government in the country, and total chaos and mayhem will be the order of the day. So I just wanted to read that because, as I said, I wrote the letters to Germany with this 1914 agreement in hopes that, someone will just take notice of it. I'm sure it will take much more to get their attention, but, this is just a tiny, tiny piece of everything that Nicholas van Rensburg foresaw. And anyone who doesn't know needs to read this book. He speaks of Russia fighting with weapons that no one could ever imagine. He says that the Third World War will be fought mostly from the sky. He speaks about chemical warfare. Iraq, what happened with Saddam Hussein. He speaks about even my president, that I don't remember the exact words, but that during this time that we will have a president with hair like a wig. I know it sounds funny, but it's very eerie. So I know some people don't take this seriously, and I'm not necessarily a believer in a prophet per se, but this man's words and visions cannot be ignored. And this one with Germany is a very important one. So I urge everyone to find out more about Nicholas van Rensburg and to read his visions. You can look it up on YouTube. You can read it in books. I think the one I have is called Prophet of God. So please just take an interest and check it out. So one more time, I will warn about the Christmas holidays and the government issuing, Gazette notices on short time notice while the people are distracted to finish pushing this land expropriation through. Should that happen, I am afraid of what would come after. So everyone, please be aware, be on alert, and don't get too caught up in Christmas that you miss this. And with all of that said, I'm going to go to bed and get some sleep. I thank you guys for listening, and I am trying to set up a new interview with Alice VL to speak about My Turn South Africa again, and some developments and changes, and I will let you guys know when that will be. I'm just waiting on her. Thanks, guys. Good night.